Well, the Springboks are kicking off their Northern Tour this weekend with a game at Wembley against Japan. It's going to be a very interesting encounter, of course. Japan put up a good performance against the Australian Wallabies, but this is the next level, I think, for Japan, taking on the mighty world champions, the back-to-back rugby world champions. So let's go and talk about this game. We'll go through the Springboks team that Rassie has picked, give you my thoughts and opinions on that, and also let you know what I think might happen at Wembley on Saturday. Let's go and sit in the park and have a chat about it. Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. If you haven't been here before, well, I'm a Kiwi rugby fan. I live in Cancun in Mexico. I love the game and I love making videos about it. So here we go. We're going to talk about the Springboks against Japan at Wembley on Saturday. What do I think? Well, first of all, let's have a look at the team and see what Rassie's done here. So let's have a look at the front row for the Boks in this one, and we're going to see Oxenchair, Malcolm Marx and Zachary Porton. Well, fantastic to see the young 20-year-old in this lineup, a Stormers player of course, and he's going to get his opportunity. And this is what I love about Rassie. He's giving the young guys a go. He's putting them on the world stage. Yes, it's a game against Japan, but it's an international test match, and it's going to give this young man a lot of confidence. So I'm going to be watching very closely to see how Zachary goes in this test match on Saturday. Now, the locking lineup was going to be an interesting one for me to see what Rassie was going to do here, and he's gone with R.G. Schneemann and he's gone with Lut De Jager. So very interesting there. I think this is a good combination. Schneemann's been playing great rugby this year, deserves, I think, to be starting this game, and we're obviously going to see him probably go to the bench for the next one against France. That's how I'm calling it anyway. So a good tight five there for the Springboks. I think they can put a lot of pressure on the Japanese, and I think this is an area where they're going to really concentrate, of course, to get dominance up front. But then let's look at the back three for the Springboks and the forwards, and it's going to be Sio Kolesi getting absolutely close to that 100th game now for the Boks. On the other side, on number 7, we're going to see Franco Mostert, and at the back it's Jasper Wiese again. So a very good back three. I think they'll probably have a little bit too much for Japan, but watch out for Michael Leach. He's an absolute mainstay of this Japanese team. I thought he had a brilliant game against the Wallabies last weekend, and he'll be up for this one. He'll want to do whatever he can to take down the South Africans. So a great starting 8 for the Springboks there. I think it's got a lot of power. It's got a lot of height for good line-out ball as well. And that front row, well, that's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. Let me know in the comments what you think of this 8 that Rassie selected for the Japanese game. Let me know if you would have made any changes, or would you brought some of those players in off the bench to start this particular game. We'll get to the bench in just a minute. But let's talk about the backline now that Rassie selected, and we'll start off at number 9, and it's going to be Cobus Reinhardt. And it's fair enough, I think, to start Cobus Reinhardt in this game. He's been playing very well throughout the season. Rassie has entrusted Reinhardt to do a specific job in the Springboks team, and from what I've seen so far, he's done it. He'll score tries, he's fast, he's got that sniping run. That always causes defences problems, particularly the All Blacks, and expect him to do some of that against Japan in the weekend. So I think he's a little bit underrated in this season as far as Cobus Reinhardt goes. I think he's been playing exceptionally well. Well, outside him in number 10 is a guy that's not underrated. It's Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu. He's going to be starting this game. So it's showing, I guess, what Rassie's intentions are. We're going to see some Tony ball and see how well the South African backline can take on the Japanese and put some tries in against them. And to do that, outside Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu at number 10, we're going to see Damien Deolandi at 12 and Jesse Creel at 13. So it's the old combo back again in this particular game. The old experience combo, and I think that's the key word here for Rassie in the midfield. If Japan do start to cause problems, these are the guys that you want to have on the pitch at the time, because they can control the defensive line and they can actually help the Springboks if they get into any trouble, which I'm not expecting too much of, to be honest, in this game against Japan. And then moving out to the wings, and at the back, a little bit of a change here for the South Africans, particularly at fullback due to injuries. We're going to see on the wings Ethan Hooker and Kurt Lee Ardenser, and then we're going to see Cheslin Colby at fullback. Well, it's been a bit of a theme this season, isn't it? We've seen Will Jordan go from the wing to the fullback for the All Blacks. We've seen Max Jorgensen go from the wing to the fullback for the Australians, and now we're seeing Cheslin Colby go from the wing to the fullback position. I like this change. I'm going to be interested to see how it goes. he might get a little bit more space to be more involved in the game, and that's what you always want Cheslin Kolbe to be. And we'll have to watch how his kicking goes as well. He's probably a very good kick. Will he try any drop kicks in this game? I'll put that out there for you to comment on as well. So there we go, that's the back line that's going to start the game for the Springboks. I think it's got good experience, it's got youth, it's got pace, it's got ability to get through this Japanese back line, and I think that's exactly what Rassie's intending to do in this game against the Brave Blossoms. Now then, we talk so often about the impact off the bench for the Springboks, and in this game there's no doubt about it, they've got a lot of power. And let's have a look who they're going to bring on in the forwards, and we're going to see Johan Grobbelaar, Gerhard Steenenkamp and Wilco Low as the front row. Wow, what some power here. Great to see Steenenkamp back in this team for the Springboks. Grobbelaar as well, getting an opportunity to come off the bench. This is a big impact for the Springboks to come on in the second half, if there's no injuries, of course, in the first half. Now, Rassie, as being Rassie, has made an interesting call as far as the bench goes for the Springboks, because they've got that hybrid player in there. But we're going to see Ruan Norkia, then we're going to see Andre Esterhuizen, and finally we're going to see Quagga Smith. So this is a packed bench for the Springboks, and of course Esterhuizen can cover anything in the forwards and also in the back, so that's why he's in there. And then the backs for the Springboks off the bench, Grant Williams and Manie Libbok, so very good cover there. Grant Williams, as you know, I'm a big fan of him, and Manie Libbok's been playing really well. So if Sasha Feinberg does get into any issues during this game, Manie Libbok's there to come on and to try and steady the ship if needed against Japan, but I don't think that's going to be the case in this game. So there's the 23 the Springboks are going to have in this game. I think it's a really good team. I like the balance of this team with youth and also experience. There's a good transition here. There's a good thought process going into this. Is the first game of the Northern Tour. They've got the big one against France next weekend. So I think there's a lot of good planning that's gone into this game, particularly after Rassie saw what Japan did against Australia. So let's talk now about my prediction and what I think is going to happen in this game. Well, I've been saying it for a long time. You should never underestimate any of your opponents in World Rugby at the moment. I think on any given day, given the climatical conditions, given the injuries to the opposition, and given to some individual brilliance by players, any team can put up a scare. I don't think that's going to happen in this game for Japan against South Africa. In fact, I think South Africa are going to easily score 40 points in this game if they get conditions that are conducive to the game that they want to play. I think their forwards are going to be way more superior than what we saw from Australia against Japan last weekend, and that's where the big difference is going to be in this game. I think the forwards, both the starting 8 and also those that are going to come off the bench, are going to prove too strong over the course of the 80 minutes for Japan, and that's going to literally wear them down and give South Africa a lot of balls. If we see Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu get anywhere near his masterclass level, then there's going to be a lot of points on offer. Look out for the kicking game as well. That's going to be very, very interesting. But there are a couple of players in this Japanese team that I'm really interested in watching. Takeuchi is one of them. Also Michael Leach and also Dern. Dern is very good in the forwards. He's been doing a lot of good line-out work for the Japanese, and he's also been very good in open play at different times. He had a couple of good runs, didn't he, against Australia last weekend. So watch out for Dern for the Japanese in this particular game. Michael Leach will keep going all day. He'll put his body on the line against the Springboks, but it's just the depth across the field that's going to enable the Springboks to win this game comfortably, I feel. And we would say that on paper, wouldn't we? But not always what we see on paper comes to fruition on the ground. So the Japanese are never going to worry about going down without a fight. They're going to be up there until the very end. And let's see how they go. As I said last weekend for their game against Australia, if Japan stay with the Boks in the first 20 or 30 minutes of this game, it could get a little bit interesting, a little bit spicy, but it's in the second half where I think the Springboks forwards are going to grind away at the Japanese, and they're going to keep putting the pressure on, particularly when Grobbelaar, Steenenkamp and Wilco Low come on. It's going to go up next level for Japan at that time, and that's when I suspect the Springboks are going to be too strong. So look for another one of those outstanding second half performances, in particular from the Springboks in this game. That's where I think they can really put the points on this Japanese team, and I see them scoring north of 40 points against this Japanese team on Saturday at Wembley, and that's going to be far too many for the Japanese to try and counteract. Now the Northern Tours are really kicking off this weekend. Of course, we've got this game, Japan against the Springboks. We've got New Zealand playing Ireland in Chicago, and we've got that big game, England versus Australia at Twickenham also this weekend. Watch out for all my previews and reviews for these games. I'm going to be following the Autumn International Series all the way through here on Inside Rugby with Mark, so don't miss a moment of it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Stick around. Give us your thoughts around the Springboks team that's taking on Japan. Do you see it like I do? They're going to run away with it in the second half. They're going to grind away this Japanese team, and it's going to be too much for the Japanese to live with. That's how I'm seeing it for this particular game. But as always, I love to read your comments, so make sure you put a comment down about this game and how you think the Springboks are going to go through this Northern Tour. Do you think they're going to get a win in every single game? I'll be back a lot more to talk about that as we go forward. Okay, that's it for this particular episode. Make sure you have a great day. Keep watching your rugby, keep enjoying it all across the world, and I'll see you again soon here on Inside Rugby with Mark. Until next time, it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Bye for now, everyone.